Guadalajara. The song says it's the city with the most Mexican soul, and I kinda buy it. Whether it's mariachi, murals, tequila, or a soccer team that only puts Mexican players on the field, you feel the history here. A Mexico that hasn't always existed, but sorta seems like it has. But there's also a pulsating energy here. Younger Tapatios putting their own spin on things, not rejecting the traditions that make up the city's soul, but embracing them with their own spin, or reshaping the cliches we have about the city to more accurately reflect the elements of their culture they're proud of. I'm John Arnold, and I've been coming to Mexico to cover soccer, but also to eat, drink, and explore for more than a decade. Now, with the World Cup on its way, I want to show you a country that you're gonna fall in love with. Ready to discover Guadalajara?
This is Guadalajara. This is Guadalajara. This is Guadalajara. This is Guadalajara. This is Guadalajara.
And this is the football city. This may change by 2026, but when arriving in Guadalajara, the Ubers are not currently able to pick you up in the terminal. Some drivers will ask to meet you at a traffic circle with a flagpole. Others will have you come outside of the airport so you can hop in with them. So you can also just do a traditional taxi. That may be easier than dealing with the chat with the driver to figure out where you're supposed to get picked up. Again, a lot of things are supposed to change about how you get into the city in 2026. There were rumors of a train. I don't believe that that's going to happen, but who knows, maybe. And perhaps Ubers or rideshares will be able to come to pick you up in the actual terminal. Once you're in the car, you got about a 30-minute ride to the city. I'm headed to the Colonia Americana. At one point, Time Out magazine's coolest neighborhood in the world, the Americana is where the wannabe hip kids stay, and it's not too far from the Estadio Akron where the 2026 World Cup matches will be, although there are closer options, and you may want to pursue them.
Guadalajara says it has a transit plan ready. There should be shuttles that take fans to these matches during the World Cup. That's important because there's essentially one way in and one way out. So traffic for big ticket games starts picking up hours and hours before. If people know that, they can come and tailgate, but even then, after a match, everyone tries to leave the same way. You get quite a bit of traffic getting to the Estadio Akron, which, as you can see, is essentially isolated. There's not much around. Food or drink as well, you're going to want to get in advance because there's not a ton here. There are some fan zones, and of course at the World Cup they'll have other opportunities for food and drink set up, but this is a stadium where, despite it being mostly an American tradition, you do see a fair amount of NFL-style tailgating.
Well, maybe not exactly NFL style. Built in 2010 and privately owned by Chivas owner Amari Vergara, the Akron actually sits in Guadalajara's neighboring municipality, Zapopan. It's a beautiful facility that will host 4 matches, including Mexico's second group match at the 2026 World Cup. It seats just under 50,000 people, but it feels way more intimate inside. And apart from that whole parking thing, it has a pretty easy fan experience. I was able to see normal tenant Chivas, who are popular not only in Jalisco, but throughout all of Mexico and the United States, staying true to their roots by fielding only Mexican players. I was able to take in a Clásico Nacional against hated rival Club America from Mexico City, and in this game, Chivas got the better of Las Águilas. They eventually would lose the second leg and fall out of this tie, sort of the story of Chivas' recent history, and yet all around town, as you'd expect with an institution as important as this one, you see the colors, the jersey, the logo, fans staying faithful to the club that they love. But remember, Chivas isn't the only club in town.
While it won't host matches at the 2026 World Cup, the Estadio Jalisco has plenty of World Cup history. It hosted 8 matches in 1970, 6 matches in 1986, and in both of those tournaments, it hosted a semifinal. You can sort of feel some of the history here, both for good, those echoes, those glorious days, and for bad, and some of the need of remodeling, and you can just feel that it's not as modern as the Chivas new stadium. Chivas used to play here, now it's home only to Atlas, a club whose fans are extremely passionate, who won title back in the 50s and then didn't win again until just a couple years ago when they won 2 back-to-back. It's a passionate club in difficult times as I record this video, but it's definitely worth a visit for any soccer fan coming to Guadalajara. Currently in the second division, historic Leones Negros also play in the Jalisco. Tecos still exists too, but they play elsewhere. For now, Guadalajara is a two-team town when it comes to the first division, and Atlas lags behind Chivas. But the club is known as the Academy, having produced top Mexican players like Rafa Marquez, Andres Guardado, Pavel Pardo, Oswaldo Sanchez, and more. In part because of that history, the club has built a state-of-the-art facility where the first team and academy is housed outside of Guadalajara, but their main stadium is still the Jalisco.
It's the second half of Atlas against Atlético San Luis. The match is tied 1-1. Both teams desperately need a result. But more important than that, I'm thinking about the character of this place, the Estadio Jalisco. I'd actually forgot a bit about what a throwback this place can be, from the speakers hanging here, the seats that are discolored from months, years, who knows how long of sun, the organ that plays, and then fans give a cheer. A lot of retro charm here. I'm not sure what matches might be on offer during the 2026 World Cup, but if you can make it to the Estadio Jalisco, it definitely should be on a soccer fan bucket list. The club is currently for sale, and with current owners playing out the string, I got to see something few tourists to Guadalajara these days see: an Atlas win. It's not the glory days of 2021-22, but fans still left the Jalisco looking for a celebratory drink and a bite to eat. While the Americana feels cool and modern and hip, just to the north sits Santa Tere, a neighborhood that feels more historic, more traditional, definitely more residential. But for me, it's one of the best neighborhoods possible in Guadalajara to find food to eat in. And when we talk about food in Guadalajara, we have to talk about the torta ahogada. It's a sandwich drowned in a spicy sauce. Ahogada means drowned, so it's bathed in that sauce, usually tossed around a few times, gives you that spice that you just can't get by not drowning it, I suppose. I have to confess, it's not my favorite street food, but I know a spot that has a little bit of a tie-in with soccer as well. Let's go check it out. You'll find fantastic street food in Mexican cities of almost any size, but the torta ahogada is linked with Guadalajara. For just under $4, you'll get the pork sandwich made in a Jalisco-style sourdough roll, supposedly dating back to France's 1860s invasion of Mexico. Watch as your sandwich gets bathed in salsa, and you're ready to try one of Guadalajara's most unique street foods. The soccer connection at El Profe Jimenez is a bit tenuous. The profe, the coach or manager, actually was a teacher. He worked in the Toluca Academy here in Guadalajara, but it seems like he was a better torta maker than he was a soccer coach. As you can see, the ahogada means it's totally drowned in sauce. Let's take a bite here. You can pick your level of spice. I've gone for a medium level. That might give me some trouble. It's messy. It's hard to get your hands around, but absolutely worth it. Guadalajara has much more than street food. You can find fine dining on par with any city at places like Alcalde and Bruna. Mid-level options like Parreal for a great classy breakfast, but you guys know me. I'm back on the streets looking for my next meal. I'm here at Birria La Treinta, which was recommended to me as one of the best spots for birria in the city, but as you can see, they're closed for Lent. That wasn't posted online, it's not part of the website, but that's something I want to talk about businesses in Mexico. Often the open and close hours, especially close. If it's dead, businesses will close early, but that's just part of the ride. Other things to note about when traveling in Mexico, more and more places are taking cash than they did when I started coming to Mexico more than 10 years ago, but cash is still king in a lot of places, especially when it comes to street food spots. It's just part of the ride. Enjoy it, get used to it, and the good news is in a place like Guadalajara, there's always other options. I'm at Birria La Nueva Esquinas. Finally, I've got some birria. It's like the third place that people have sent me to. The birria is traditional in Guadalajara, and it's got a little bit of a football tie-in, I guess, in that often goat meat is used. You can use other proteins as well, but the idea is to put in a stew. It's more of a breakfast taco and a lunch, I guess, taco. Later in the day, most birria locations will be closed, but in the morning, they'll be the first thing that's open. So enjoy Tapatio breakfast. Breakfast is over, time for a drink. Well, it doesn't have to be that direct, but most cantinas in Guadalajara open around midday. The cantina is the traditional drinking establishment in Guadalajara, Mexico's answer to the dive bar. Nothing fancy, just a cold beer, maybe a tequila, and a botana, a free snack that keeps your stomach full at a place like Bar Morelia Hilton in the Mexicalcingo neighborhood. Another option is La Fuente, which supposedly has been holding onto this bike for its owner for decades and decades. I'm not sure he's coming back, but I usually do. This is a bit nicer of a cantina in the center, supposedly frequented
frequented by politicians and journalists. But while this journalist loves the classics, the new school deserves a look too. De La O works to modernize or bring up to date the idea of a cantina, a place where you might have a nice stiff drink, a little bit of food. I got some potatoes that were brought over from the staff with a delicious salsa on them. Again, imitating that botanada snack that a lot of times is essential when you're drinking in a cantina. Industry veterans have created De La O's menu in a Guadalajara tiki style, mixing the agave tradition of Jalisco with a tiki vibe. While the bar doesn't look like a tiki bar, there's a lot of tropical elements in the drinks themselves, and it's right next to some other great spots. This is De La O Cantina. Right here is Pare de Sufrir, a mezcal bar. It has one of the best mezcal selections in maybe all of the Americas. More of a party vibe, late night, not open that often. And then over here is Turbio. In name, it's a wine bar, but also with great American food, wings, pizza, and a retro 80s, 90s nostalgia vibe. A really good place. This on the Argentina Avenue is kind of my messy Alvarez de Maria, one of the best 3 places you can go in Guadalajara, and they're all right here in the Americana. You can, of course, range much farther and still find fantastic cocktails, beer, and wine in the city and the entire region. I wouldn't miss the chance to change a few misconceptions you might have about tequila, which is produced from the blue agave grown in a city around an hour's drive from Guadalajara. No shame if you want to grab a cheap bottle with a worm in it or whatever, but this is the region where they invented the paloma, the batanga, and where you can be introduced to some great sippers as well. It might be a bit fresa, the Mexican word for too fancy or snobby, but El Gallo Altanero is ranked consistently as the best bar in Guadalajara. It's usually much more packed than this, but if you get in just before closing time, you can sit and chat with the bartender, learn a little bit about what you're drinking, and enjoy the atmosphere of what I find to correctly be Guadalajara's best bar. As I mentioned, sometimes a little bit of a party atmosphere gets more packed than it was in that first photo, but overall the bartenders are going to try and take care of you, teach and educate about tequila, about mezcal, about raicilla, whatever agave spirit you might be interested in. This, again, is the homeland, the patria for tequila. They're proud of that, and they take it seriously all around town, but especially at Gallo Altanero. You didn't think we'd get out of here without getting CONCACAFFEINATE, did you? Guadalajara has dozens of great coffee shops, but this is probably my favorite. Café Correcto, somewhat hidden in the Fábrica Morelos complex. Keep going straight and then you're there. It's a good blend of a relaxing environment with options for people who are serious about their coffee and those who are less so. Also, there's a friendly shop dog who I pretend remembers me every time, although I think he just says hello to everyone. Other good options are Sinónimo, which is more of a brunch spot but has the best branding in town, a very cute logo, and a run club, or you can go with a totally different vibe and go north to the Caligari Cafe, which is themed after the 1920 German silent horror film The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Funky and eclectic with great pan you can mow down as well. There's a reason they've been in business for 2 decades despite being so niche. A new spot I discovered this time in Santa Tere is Leben, really nice owner who knows his stuff. You can also check out El Terrible One, which has locations around town, super well known. I think their fame might be more because of their weird bacon sandwich, but it's for sure the easiest you can access on this trip because there's a location in the Estadio Akron. The stadium atmosphere is a sharp contrast from Café Diamante, a place where you can sip your coffee and pick up a nice book to read. Yes, that's right, I tricked you. Café Diamante is in the same building as publishing house Impronta, and we're going to get some culture in our lives. Guadalajara is a very literary city, known for hosting the International Book Fair in late November every year. It's the largest one in the Americas, one of the 3 largest in the world. Impronta Space has their own books that they put out, and also books from other publishers from Mexico and around the world. Buy a book, post up with your coffee, sip, enjoy, and then, to get even more culture, you can take a long walk into the centro. There's plenty to see in the center of Guadalajara. You can go in the cathedral with its famous 2 spires, and unsurprisingly, much of the city's history and culture can be found here in the center. There's a lot of museums dedicated to all sorts of different pieces of history. There's even a journalism museum that I'm going to check out. But for me, the most stunning and most representative is the Hospicio Cabanas, where José Clemente Orozco, one of Mexico's greatest muralists, was hired to paint a series of murals. His most famous, you can see his stunning Man on Fire in the Rotunda, and a lot of other works that explain a bit more about who he was as a painter and a person. Actually was able to visit the Hospicio Cabanas for free today because it's free entry for everyone on Tuesday, usually a very reasonable entry fee for foreigners, a little less for Mexicans, as most museums in Guadalajara and Mexico are. For me, one of the best cultural experiences you can have in Guadalajara to consider and reflect on the amazing artwork painted so many years ago by Orozco. If the architecture of the center speaks to you, or you want to learn more about buildings in other parts of Guadalajara, you can check out the modern itineraries available in the Casa Impronta bookstore that I mentioned earlier, or of course, you can just wander the streets trying to find what grabs you. Like that modern itinerary, another local group has made the anti-turista map of Guadalajara, which has been very helpful in my first several trips to the city, finding good spots that the locals go to. Now, let's take a quick trip away from Guadalajara, but somewhere that'll still interest you if you like the feel of the center of the city. This is Tlaquepaque, a Pueblo Magico, one of Mexico's tourism program's magical towns. Many of these are farther out, harder to get to, but Tlaquepaque has sort of been absorbed by Guadalajara. In fact, while it's named a Pueblo Magico, it's actually got a huge population. But the tourist part, the center, the colonial, charming with shops and restaurants, coffee shops, anything you could really want to get. Of course, lots of arts and crafts to buy, museums, all that stuff is in the center. So most of the people who live in Tlaquepaque don't live in the center, and you still get that Pueblo Magico feel while still being between the Guadalajara airport and the actual city itself. So if you want to visit Tlaquepaque, worth the trip. You can try some regional food like carne en su jugo. There's a Carnes Garibaldi here with their location with the quickest service in the world. Lots of little shops, ice cream, music, all sorts of things that just have that kind of colonial Mexico feel that you might be seeking. Even if you're on a quick trip to Guadalajara, easy to spend a morning or an afternoon here, enjoy a couple hours, and just take in the sights. Well, this is the end of my journey, but it doesn't have to be the end of yours. You can go in almost any direction from Guadalajara and keep exploring interesting cities and sites in Mexico. You can head, of course, to Tequila, whether you take the train and party all day, or take a bus or a cab and see the agaves grow before it gets turned into tequila. You can head to Puerto Vallarta and enjoy the beach or any of the other towns along the coast. You can go south, an even quicker drive to the lake. A lot of American retirees live, or you can head east to the interior of Mexico, cities like León, and eventually get to the capital, Mexico City. Whatever it is, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Football Cities. This has been Guadalajara. See you at the stadium.